Welcome to the Participation Project, Summer Food Service Program Training. First, I'd like to thank you for your interest in continuing to provide summer meals to the children of Oregon. It is ODE's goal with this training to assist and support sponsors in expanding their summer meals program. During the training, we will discuss tools to assist and considerations to keep in mind when expanding your summer meal program. For the remainder of this training, we'll refer to the Summer Food Service Program as SFSP. Objectives we will cover in this training include available summer meals toolkits, how to identify new meal sites, site consideration, meal service, staffing, available funding. Summer meals toolkits are designed for individuals and organizations interested in being summer meal champions in their communities at any level of program administration. We'll review summer meal toolkits available from the USDA and the Center for Best Practices, No Kid Hungry. Both of these are free to users and are online based for easy access. The USDA toolkit includes 7 mini toolkits targeting various topic areas. Topics covered include program planning, budgeting, and administration, partnering for success, and vending and serving quality meals. The Summer Meal Toolkit can be found at the link located on this slide. Here's a look at the USDA Summer Meal Toolkits webpage. Scroll down to see the different topic areas addressed in these toolkits. Let's take a closer look at what the Increasing Participation Toolkit offers. These toolkits contain 3 topics to help organizations increase participation through outreach, reaching underserved areas, and site activities. Each one of these topics is broken down further into highlighting more specific areas. Clicking on the link will take you to educational handouts for that area. Another great website for summer meal toolkits and webinars comes from the Center for Best Practice, No Kid Hungry. This site offers 2 toolkits and a series of webinars. The first toolkit, the No Kid Hungry Summer Meals Collaborative Planning Toolkit, assists in engaging key stakeholders to help identify barriers, uncover new ideas, and align resources. The other toolkit available is the Sodexo Foundation Summer Meals Outreach Toolkit. A link to this website is available on this slide. Here is the Center for Best Practice No Kid Hungry Summer Meals webpage. The toolkits and the webinars can be accessed in the bar on the left-hand side of the webpage. No Kid Hungry Summer Meals Collaborative Planning Toolkit offers resources to assist in building a collaborative plan to increase participation in summer meals from start to finish. There are not only handouts available, but questions to consider and guidelines. The Sodexo Foundation Summer Meals Outreach Toolkit offers media and outreach tactics as well as other outreach tips and templates. Clicking on the Summer Site Visit Toolkit, you'll find a link to a downloadable toolkit. It lays out how to plan a site event, including a checklist of suggested items, logistics, an influencer invite, press release, and ways to use social media. As I mentioned previously, the Center for Best Practice No Kid Hungry webpage offers webinars as well. Scrolling down the Summer Meals homepage, you'll find a link to the Schools Out, Foods In webinar series. Clicking on this link will take you to their page where 7 webinars are available. Take advantage of the time prior to starting your summer meal service to properly plan and implement some of the ideas from the USDA and Center for Best Practice. It's never too early to lay the groundwork for the summer. One of the keys to being a successful SFSP sponsor is knowing the most optimal places to have summer meal sites. Let's get started. To find the FNS Capacity Builder, go to your internet browser and begin by opening your preferred internet search engine. Next type FNS Capacity Builder in the search text box. The FNS Capacity Builder will be the first link on the search results page. Click on this link. The map on this page may be small for some users. If this is the case, for a larger map, scroll down on this page and click on View Larger Map. This will take you to another tab in your web browser. In the upper right corner in the black bar, there is a text box where you can enter an address or a place. In this instance, we'll enter Burns, Oregon. Use the plus button on the left side of the map. You're able to zoom in on the area of interest. Notice the red dots and little houses. To find out what these indicate, look to the far left of the window where you'll see a gray box with the word Legend at the top. There you'll see that the red dots indicate 2015 open summer sites. The beige houses indicate HUD multifamily housing, and the black house indicates rural development multifamily. Looking at the black bar in the address box is located in, there are additional actions to take with the map. On the far left is a print option. Next to that, you may add layers to your map. By clicking on a layer, a drop-down menu will appear. Here you'll find a list of other area attractions that may be in the area you're searching and could draw more participants. For example, let's see where libraries and Head Start centers are. Looking at the icons that appear, we see that the library is very close to Triangle Park site, while the Head Start Center looks to be a few blocks from another site. Looking at the map, we see that Highway 20 goes through Burns. Clicking on the minus button to zoom out, a HUD multifamily housing site comes into view in the lower left-hand corner of the map. Using the cursor to drag and recenter the map on this site, clicking on these markers, you're able to find out more information about the location. Clicking on the beige house on Saginaw Avenue, you'll see that its address is 605 Saginaw Avenue, Hines, Oregon. Looking at the map and finding the nearest red dot to the north of it, you'll get the information about the closest summer meal site. This one happens to be High Desert Swimming Pool. Scrolling down in the info box, we learn that the site is operated by Harney County School District from June 14th to July 29th, Monday through Thursday, for lunch. Just by knowing the operation dates, hours, and meals currently offered, there are a few great opportunities for summer meal expansion in this area. Using the one more idea, Harney County School District could add another meal, such as snack or breakfast. Since the program currently runs Monday through Thursday, they could add another day of operation such as Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The biggest meal gap to fill is the meal gap between July 29th and the start of school. If you're not the Harney County School District but want to help feed kids during the summer in Hines, your organization could expand by covering any previously mentioned meal gaps. If you are a Harney County School District and could use some help covering the meal gaps, contacting the organization in the Layers drop-down menu could help provide some much-needed assistance by providing potential sites, volunteers, or community partners. Using the Capacity Builder, we were able to glean a bit of local information. This information can be put to use and assist sponsors in mapping routes from areas of interest to previously established sites. Using Google Maps, sponsors are able to find out the distance needed to travel, but also find out the estimated travel times to meal sites. Taking a wide view of Hines, Oregon, there's a HUD multifamily housing site to the west of Hines. Clicking on the site, we see that the address is 611 Tennyson Avenue, Hines, Oregon, in the info box. Copy the address from the information box and go into Google Maps. Paste this address into the search bar. Go back to the Capacity Builder. Clicking on the information box tells you that this site is in Hines City Park. Copy this address and return to the Google Maps screen. Click on the directions icon and paste the address in the starting point line. Hit enter on your keyboard, and after this is done, a map will route between the two locations entered will be made. Since many eligible participants for summer meals can't legally drive, driving directions may not be very helpful. To see the walking directions, click on the walking figure at the top of the directions box. This summer meal site is a little over a 1-mile walk from the housing development according to the routes on this map. It would take participants a little over 20 minutes to get to the site using the fastest routes. Sponsors should think about if it is feasible for children to travel long distance to get to their site, especially in an area prone to excessive heat and/or high traffic. In this instance, it is not likely a child would come to the park site from HUD housing. The sponsor may want to consider looking at opening a site closer to or in HUD multifamily housing. If the sponsor does not have the capacity to open a site in that area, they may also look at working with partners to ensure that area has a site these children may access.
Another way to use Google Maps is to find the address of a community organization that may be able to operate as a site or serve as a community partner for summer meals. For instance, WIC clinics offer a great opportunity to increase participation as they offer service to low-income families with children aged birth to 5 years old. It is likely that these families may also bring older children to appointments. Additionally, WIC clinics may be good partners as they may be able to offer enrichment activities such as nutrition education. In Google Maps, type in WIC Clinic, Sherman County, Oregon. Here we will find that the WIC clinic closest to Sherman County is located in the Dalles at 419 East 7th Street. Copy the address and paste this into the Capacity Builder. By creating a search using the WIC clinic address in the FNS Capacity Builder, we'll see if there is already a site nearby and identify other potential opportunities. After we enter this address in the Capacity Builder, we see that this WIC clinic is south of already existing site in a nearby park. Clicking on the red dot, we can see the information for this site and see that it is Thompson's Park. Back on the Google map, enter Thompson's Park as a starting point. According to the walking route measurements, it is 0.7 miles to the nearest summer meal site. Looking at the map, it appears that there is a library very close to the WIC clinic. Zooming out on the Google map, there is a high school by as well.
Zooming in on the Google Maps near the high school, we see there are 2 congregations nearby.
Religious congregations may also be good partners in serving summer meals. They may have community rooms, can serve as SFSP sites when it is too hot to be outside for long. They may also have vehicles that may be able to transport meals to participants to bring participants to summer meal sites. This potential site is 0.3 miles from the WIC clinic. Knowing that the library, the high school, and the churches may be a good summer meal site, let's move on to the next steps of identifying summer meal sites. Ensuring the site is in an eligible area. Site eligibility may be verified using various methods. The FNS Capacity Builder does have a layer labeled
FY 2017 FNS CACFP SFSP Eligibility. Let's add this layer to the map.
There are only 2 colors for the area eligibility map, blue and pink. These locations are in a pink zone, which means this is a potential place eligible to be SFSP meal sites. If these sites were in a blue zone, it is not area eligible based on demographics of that area alone. However, that does not automatically mean the site will not be eligible to be an SFSP meal site. There are additional steps that may be taken to see if a site in a blue zone can be considered area eligible.
If the site is in a blue zone, but there are pink zones adjacent to it, sponsors may use the area eligibility worksheet in conjunction with this map to see if the site qualifies. The worksheet can be used to see if the site will qualify based off of how many eligible participants are located in the blue zone and factoring the number of eligible participants located in the adjacent pink zones. Sponsors may also use the Food Research and Action Center, also known as FRAC, map for census data. To prove eligibility is school data may also be used to show a site is in an eligible area. To do this, sponsors must provide documentation that the site is located in the attendance area boundary of a school that has at least 50% of children in attendance qualifying for free or reduced price meals. This can be done by submitting to ODE CMP a letter or email from the school district stating that the site is within the attendance boundary of a specific eligible school, or by submitting to ODE CMP a school boundary map indicating where the site is located. Please note that once a site is determined to be eligible using school or census data, the site remains SFSP eligible for 5 years. Identifying the area for potential eligible sites is just one step in building a summer meal program. After this is done, a sponsor should try to determine the type and size of the program that they can properly operate, while best meeting the needs of the community. Sponsors will have to make 3 especially important decisions when evaluating current and potential SFSP sites to operate this summer. Sponsors must decide how many sites they will sponsor during the summer, determine how many children they will serve at each site they sponsor, and select the particular sites where they will serve meals to children, closely examining the circumstance if they plan to have several sites in the same neighborhood. Taking particular care in making these decisions before programs start may prevent problems that could arise later. Because sponsors must assume administrative and financial responsibility for total SFSP operations at all sites under their supervision, they must be certain that a site can offer a quality meal service before they decide to sponsor that site. Sponsors are responsible for choosing the appropriate facilities available for food service. While a school kitchen may have the ability to have a complete meal service from start to finish, an unaffiliated site may not have the same capability. For instance, when with a library for a site, sponsors need to think about the type of meal that would be best suited for that site. Does the library have storage space for shelf-stable products or a refrigerator to keep cold items in a safe temperature range? It is important to involve the person overseeing the site on a regular basis in the conversation. Staff at unaffiliated sites will be able to offer more insight on their capability and any additional consideration their organization may have. Sponsors should assess how much supervision will be necessary to ensure proper program operation. At unaffiliated sites, staff and volunteers already present at the site may be trained to supervise if sponsor staff is unavailable. Although all SFSP sites are not required to have an alternate temperature-controlled site, sponsors should have a contingency plan for dealing with extreme weather conditions, such as thunderstorms and excessive heat. For outdoor sites, this plan could include discontinuing meal service when weather conditions make being outside unsafe for children. Alternatively, sponsors can identify a shady spot or erect a tent for extremely hot days, or make arrangements with a housing community to use an air-conditioned community area. Sponsors need to determine the maximum number of children who can be served at any of their sites. When estimating the number of children to be served at each site, consider the site's administrative capabilities, the physical capacity at each site for serving children, and the number of children living in the area of each site who are likely to participate. Children are drawn to locations that offer educational, enrichment, and recreational activities, as well as sites that provide meals. Therefore, we strongly encourage sponsors to select sites or plan program in order to offer such organized activities. The following are examples: swimming pools, faith-based organizations or churches that offer religious study, day camp sessions, programs at colleges and universities, 4-H clubs, National Youth Sports programs, and, according to program requirements, ODE CMP must set limits on the number of meals a site may serve to children for meal reimbursement. This limit is referred to as a site cap. A sponsor may not claim reimbursement for meals served to children at any site in excess of approved site cap of meal service. Site caps will be added by sponsors on each site information sheet in CMP Web. Sponsors may use a fire marshal site capacity as a site cap if applicable. Transporting meals to children rather than requiring children to travel to a meal service is known as mobile feeding. In mobile feeding, a vehicle delivers meals to various SFSP sites. Mobile feeding can be a great option for SFSP sponsors to get meals to kids who may not normally be able to participate in summer meals. For instance, these participants may live in a rural area and/or lack safe transportation to a meal site. The site itself is a physical location where food services are provided for children. Each location where a bus or other vehicle stop to serve meals must meet the site eligibility criteria and other requirements set forth in program regulations. Meals delivered to meal sites must be consumed by participants in a supervised setting. Sponsors of mobile sites must take extra precaution to ensure that food is safe for children to eat. State and local health and safety standards must be met at all times. At a minimum, food must be maintained at proper temperature along the entire delivery route, and temperature must be monitored with a food thermometer. Program staff serving meals must follow appropriate hand washing procedures as required. A site supervisor must be present at meal service. Mobile sites may operate as full service route, where the site supervisor travels with the vehicle along the route and supervises the site at each stop. Mobile sites may also have meals delivered to each stop with an on-site supervisor waiting to receive the meals. Site supervisors must remain on site during the entire approved meal service time, regardless of site attendance. For more information, please see the memo on mobile feeding that is linked to on this slide. When sponsors have chosen their prospective sites, they must notify the health department in writing of all prospective site locations and arrange for prompt and regular trash removal. Sponsors must maintain a copy of the letter notifying the local health department of their intention to provide a food service at specific times at planned sites. Prior to approval, sponsors must visit the new sites and any sites that had operational problems in previous years. However, ODE CMP has the option to waive the pre-operational site visit requirement for experienced SFSP sponsors, Child and Adult Care Food Program CACFP sponsors, and School Food Authorities SFAs participating in the National School Lunch Program NSLP or School Breakfast Program SBP, and who are in good standing in these programs. For more information on site visits and reviews, refer to Administering the Summer Food Service Program Monitoring Training. Now that sites have been selected, let's talk about the meal service. With ODE CMP approval, sponsors may serve up to 2 meals, 2 snacks, or 1 meal and 1 snack each day. Most commonly, sponsors choose to serve lunch and either breakfast or a snack. Supper is another great meal to serve, as more participants may be likely to come in if their parent are available to bring them. Since supper and lunch are at the same reimbursement level, sponsors may choose to serve either lunch or supper on a specific day at a specific site, not both. If a sponsor has numerous sites in the same area, it may be good to change up the types of meals available at each site. For instance, if the elementary school is serving breakfast and lunch, the library may serve PM snack while the park serves supper. Between these 3 sites, a sponsor and their community partners are able to ensure that participants have access to meals throughout the day. Sponsors must provide ODE CMP with information regarding the times of the meal service at each site, but are not required to ensure that specific time periods elapse between the meal service. Sponsors are encouraged to establish meal service times that best accommodate operational requirements and the needs of participating children. For instance, if participation is low and many participants are arriving to lunch in their pajamas, sponsors may consider moving the lunch meal service to a later time or serving supper instead. Please note that if a site is already approved for lunch at an earlier time and would like to change mealtime or type, ODE CMP must be notified prior to the change, and it must be approved in CMP Web prior to the meal being claimed at the site. There are no regulations restricting meal service on weekends or holidays. Therefore, sponsors are allowed to serve SFSP meals on the weekends and holidays. In addition to serving meals that meet meal pattern requirements, sponsors must comply with the following rules when serving meals at each of their sites. Serve the same meal to all children. This means all children receive a meal meeting the meal pattern requirements, not that all meals must be identical in every component. However, children with disabilities must be accommodated and therefore may not receive the same meal. Ensure all children in attendance at the site receive one meal before any child is served a complete second meal. Ensure all children in attendance at the site receive one meal before adults are served a meal, either because they are site staff or because they paid for their meal. Adhere to local health and sanitation regulations. There are a couple exceptions to meal service involving the off-site consumption of meals. If a meal is served on a field trip, ODE CMP must be given proper notification in order for the meal to be eligible for reimbursement. In order to notify ODE CMP, please update the site information form in CMP Web with the dates of any field trips. CMP Web must be updated prior to any field trips that are held. Other off-site consumption must otherwise be approved by Food and Nutrition Services. Sponsors may allow a child to take one fruit, vegetable, or grain item off-site for later consumption without prior ODE CMP approval. If this is allowed, it must be in compliance with state and local health and sanitation codes. The food item taken off-site must be for the child's own meal or left on a share table by another child who did not want it. Sponsors should only allow an item to be taken off-site if they have adequate staffing to properly administer and monitor the site and to ensure that issues particularly related to food safety and program integrity do not arise. In extenuating circumstances, sponsors may allow off-site consumption of meals as long as meals taken off-site are not claimed for reimbursement. Failure to meet this congregate feeding requirement results in the disallowance of meals and may lead to a determination of serious deficiency of the sponsor's operation of the program. USDA has extended the demonstration project allowing service of non-congregate meals at certain outdoor summer meal sites experiencing excessive heat or other concerns regarding safety. Under the demonstration project, SFSP and Seamless Summer Option, SSO, of the National School Lunch sponsor operating approved outdoor meal sites without temperature-controlled alternate sites may operate as non-congregate sites and claim these meals for reimbursement on days when the area is experiencing excessive heat. If a sponsor believes their participants may benefit from the demonstration project, ODE CMP must be notified via the renewal information and CMP Web online forms. For more information, including information on circumstance other than excessive heat and answers to frequently asked questions regarding the demonstration project, please visit SFSP memo page on ODE CMP's website. A link to this site is located on this slide. Offering meals to non-program adults is another way to boost participation. By allowing adults to have meals, this encourages the participants to eat as together as a family and enables the role modeling of healthy behaviors. Sponsors have the option to serve meals to non-program adults at no charge or charge a fee for the meal. One option to charge for meals served to non-program adults and minimize cash transaction is to sell meal cards to adults. These meal cards may be sold at a specified dollar amount and then be good for a set amount of meals. For instance, $20 for 7 meals. Each time a meal is redeemed, the meal card may be marked off on the card with a hole punch. The cost of meals served to non-program adults may not be counted as part of the sponsor's operating costs, only if the adult pays or non-program funds cover. The full cost of the meal and the money received is reported as income to the program. When meals are served to non-program adults, sponsors must either charge the adult at least the full cost of the meal, including food and non-food supplies, labor, and the value of commodities, or use other non-program funds to cover the cost of these meals. Additionally, when a sponsor chooses to serve meals to adults, the following rules must be observed. All children, including any person who meets the definition of 7 CFR 225.2, must be fed first. And meals must be counted and recorded separately on daily meal count form. These meals include those served to children, second meals, program adults, and non-program adults. The size of a sponsor's SFSP will dictate many of the sponsor's staffing needs. By expanding your program, there may be a need for additional staffing. Many positions will require only part-time employment, particularly in planning and closing out phases. You may also be able to fill some roles with volunteers. Also, varied opening and closing dates of individual site operations affect staffing needs. The area supervisor should be an employee of your organization, as their duties include oversight of several site monitors and program records. They will also be in direct contact with the director or assistant director when site problems occur. There is no recommendation on how many site monitors an area supervisor should supervise, but the larger the program is, the more area supervisors will be needed. Additionally, area supervisors' responsibilities include providing ongoing training for monitors, visiting sites with monitors, and determining need for and following through on corrective action. Monitors should also be employees of the organization, as their role is critical to the successful operation of your SFSP sites. They are the eyes and ears, providing valuable feedback about how the sites are operating by visiting sites on a regular basis and observing meal service. At a minimum, one monitor is needed for every 15 to 20 sites. The number of monitors necessary for rural sites may increase depending upon geographical area to be covered. For more information on site visits and reviews, please refer to the Administrating the Summer Food Service Program monitoring training. Site supervisors may be employees of or volunteers for your organization. If your staff has limited availability in the summer, partnering with area organization is a great way to help expand your program. For instance, if you are a school district or an after-school program, your typical staff may be working year-round if they're also working as SFSP staff. Involving volunteers can allow for sites to stay open longer into the summer, bridging in gaps from the end and beginning of school, serving meals later in the day and or on weekends. Responsibility of site supervisors include all aspects of meal service, from preparing or receiving the meals to taking an accurate meal count to clean up after the meals are served. Going a step further in staffing, additional staff may be required depending on the size of your program. Depending on the site size, there may be additional staff on site to assist the site supervisor. They may be serving meals, ensuring participants eat on site, and cleaning up afterwards. They may also be running enrichment activities. Site staff may also be charged with promoting the meal site by hanging up banners, setting up yard signs, or even recruiting kids to invite other kids to eat at a playground or at a community pool. If meals are prepared off-site, there will need to be someone to deliver the meals to the site all days of meal service operation. This may be an employee of the sponsoring organization or a volunteer. An example of a driver or volunteer may be a courier service from a local library or ESD who is taking meals from a sponsor to their own site for meal service. At mobile sites, the driver may solely deliver meals or also be the site supervisor. Having a driver also be the site supervisor will depend on how long each site meal service is, how many sites the driver needs to drive to, and the distance between the sites. One option to maximize the delivery driver's time and responsibilities may be to have the driver deliver meals to sites that already have site supervisors. Then at the last site, the driver could be the site supervisor. It is difficult to expand a program without the necessary resources. In order to help SFSP sponsors expand their program, there are startup and expansion grants available from the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs. There are also additional funds available for all SFSP breakfasts and lunches served. State funds administered through ODE CMP are available for startup and expansion grants for at-risk after-school meals and summer meals program. There is over $400,000 in grant funds available for sponsors during the 2015-2017 biennium. Grant funds are available up to a maximum of $20,000 per sponsor. Grant applications will be considered for costs that support the startup or expansion of at-risk after-school or summer meal sites. Examples of allowable costs include food service equipment purchases, staff costs for outreach and increasing participation, enrichment activities, transportation costs for summer meals. This transportation cost is the cost of the transportation of meals to sites and not the cost of transporting participants to meal sites. Grant funds cannot be used to purchase a vehicle, but grant funds may be used to refurbish one that has already been acquired.
For more information, please contact Kathy Brock at the information given below. I'll pause here to give you a moment to write this information down.
As a SFSP sponsor, the Oregon Legislature has approved additional funds to support the Summer Meals Program. The additional funds are paid at a rate of 5 cents per breakfast and/or lunch served. These payments are on a monthly basis after a claim has been submitted and are separate from the meal reimbursement paid. These additional funds may be used for staff payroll, equipment, food, and/or supplies. This concludes the participation project training for returning sponsors. If you have any questions, please contact your assigned specialist. You can find their name and contact information by logging into CMP Web for SFSP.
This is the USDA and ODE CMP non-discrimination statement. Thank you for participating in the Summer Food Service Program training hosted by Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition. Thank you for everything you do to fuel Oregon's future.